Hi guys, and welcome back. My name is Helen and my channel is North Girl Gone South. Today I have 3 DIYs, Dollar Tree DIYs, and even a few ideas, all made with Dollar Tree items and absolutely do not look like Dollar Tree items. The first one is a plate, one of the charger plates. If you see that I'm using the calendars, all of these DIYs use the calendars from Dollar Tree. I wanted to use one of the wreath calendar pictures. So those little pink scissors, those detail scissors from the Dollar Tree are amazing. They work great. For this DIY, I'm using some white paint to give it like a whitewash. I'm using Mod Podge, a few different ribbons. I have some paint brushes. You can use any picture that you want. Because the charger is round, I looked at the pictures and the calendar that I took that one from, the Blessed calendar, there's a number of wreaths, but I will tell you, I didn't cut it on camera because it is time consuming, but it is so worth it when you're done. Right now, I'm just dry brushing. I should have used a chip brush because the brush that I'm using, I didn't have one on me. I did go out today and buy a few because I don't have any, but I will. You'll see in a little while that I rectify the concentrated white spots. I mean, you can leave it like that. I wanted it a little more muted so that it was like more of a whitewash than painted. These wood chargers, the wood look chargers, are great because there's so many things that you can do with them. This you can put, I'm going to probably put it on a plate stand, but you can glue some jute on the back or a hanger on the back and hang this on your wall. The one that I picked, enjoy the little things, is one of my favorite sayings. So that's the one that I picked for today's DIY. I have a damp, it's barely damp, paper towel, and I'm just rubbing it so it's going into the grooves of the, because if you've ever seen these chargers, they're from the Dollar Tree. They have grooves in them. So when you wash it, wipe it with the paper towel, it does kind of push it a little bit into the grooves and gives it, so now it's more of a muted whitewash than the white streaks. So I'm going to, I want to make sure that it's covered, it's wiped, and then I'm going to put it to the side to let it dry while I start DIY number 2. These are all using the calendars. You can use any calendar. It doesn't matter which one you use. Actually, in these DIYs, I probably use all 3 of the calendars. I bought the Blessed, the Market, and the one that has the white pumpkin. I don't remember what the name of it is. I probably have it. The Blessed, the Market, and I don't know what the other one is. But yeah, I did use 3 of the calendars. Now, I'm using 3 of the Jenga blocks. 3 of the Jenga blocks are the perfect size for the little pictures of each month on the back of the calendar. I did the first couple with hot glue. Let me tell you that if you want them to last, wood glue. Use the wood glue. I had to redo a bunch of them with the wood glue. I glued 3 Jenga blocks together, wiped the ooze out with a paper towel. That's a technical term, ooze. And put them together, put them to the side. They don't take that long, honestly, to dry. I just put them to the side. I do take shortcuts, so you guys don't have to watch me gluing or watch glue drying. But I wood glued 3 of the Jenga blocks together. Then I cut out each picture. Each pack of Jenga blocks, I'm showing you the back of the calendar. If you notice, I cut a bunch out. From that calendar, I only cut one, the white pumpkin. They're the perfect size. You just have to trim them to the size of the Jenga blocks. If you see, those are some that I already Mod Podged. Those are more that I want to put together. I'm going to do the enjoy the little things like I did on the plate. When the Jenga blocks are dry, because they're not all the same size, they're uneven, your best bet is to cut out the square and then put the Jenga blocks, the little, against the picture, and get a pencil. Put it up against it and then trace it out. Because I did, you'll see right here, I trace it. Because some of them are bigger, some are smaller. Trace it to the ones that you're going to Mod Podge it to. And then those little detail scissors, I tell you what, I use them a lot on these projects. And you'll see, after I Mod Podge it, you can even use these scissors to get any little loose edges that are hanging over. I take the 3 Jenga blocks, I put, and the key to Mod Podge is a thin coat. I know a lot of people like to slather it on, but I think it makes more bubbles. These blocks were kind of sucking it up, so I had to put a little bit more, but I usually brush it. I get the corners because you don't want the corners coming up. And then I put the picture on, rub it. Now, these pictures, the back of the calendar, are a little bit of a heavier weight, so they work a little bit better. You'll see later when I do the plate, the picture is very thin, so it bubbles, even though I put thin Mod Podge. I know a lot of people use the glue sticks, which I haven't tried that yet. Now, see this little bit still hanging over? I take the detail scissors, and they absolutely work great. I let the Mod Podge dry and then do a coat on top. I also, on some of them, you'll see, I'll show you when I show you some of the ones I did a little bit of antiquing on the corners with antique wax. You could do that on some of the ones that look like shiplap. It looked really nice. Now, even these magnets came from Crafted Square. Everything I use, including the glue sticks. The glue sticks I'm using, I'm not a huge fan of the Dollar Tree glue sticks, but I did use them on this project, and they actually held the magnets pretty good. So, really everything in these projects came from the Dollar Tree. So these are some of the other ones I antiqued around the edge. Even that one, I did a little bit on the edge. You could put twine around the outside, rope. You could paint the outsides. You could put ribbon on the outside of it if you want to decorate the trim of it. I know some other people did this DIY, and they put stuff around the trim. I'm going to leave them as is. So now the third, and this is really, this one is not, in my opinion, really a DIY, but I'm going to give you some other ideas, because these frames that I'm showing you right now are super hard to find. You could use these square signs, which they have now out for fall. They usually for every season come out with some sort of a square sign. If you have round signs, you could cut out the wreath ones on the blessed calendar. You could cut out the wreath to a circle sign and Mod Podge it to it. But these are, I don't have any of the round signs. Actually, I'm hoping for the Christmas holiday they come out with some round signs. I haven't been able to get a round sign in a while. But you can use these square signs that I have. You could use these frames, which hold pretty much a 12 by 12. I'm using the Farmer's Market calendar. I picked the red truck. and I'm putting that in the frame. Now you could Mod Podge it to the square, or you could put it in this frame. This frame is slightly larger than the picture. So you'll see I put the little edging back. I was going to use the paper, but then I realized I could just put the white edge and it'll look nice. I centered the picture. See, it's like 1/4 of an inch. They do carry a frame like this that holds less pictures that will also hold these calendar pictures. They're a little smaller than these, maybe about 1/2 inch, an inch smaller. So you'll have to trim the picture from the calendar. You can see my ring light right there. But they work just as good. So, but if you can't, these frames you could paint, you could Mod Podge, you could put trim, you could put tape, you could put flowers, leaves. This square sign is a perfect size for it. And these square signs are great because you can make a frame with the Jenga blocks. The Dollar Tree version of the tumbling towers. You can glue them, wood glue them together. Try to always use wood glue with them. It works much better. And you could trim and make a frame for it after you Mod Podge the picture on or glue it on. Or even use a glue stick. But there's a lot of different, they even had those chipboards a while back in black and white that are 12 by 12. So they would fit the picture fine if you got them. Look around your house. You'll be surprised if you have a leftover wood, corkboard, flooring. There's a lot of things that you can use as backing for those calendar pictures, to use them to make them into a picture. Go around your house and just look. Some of your building items, if you redid a basement, a room, or see what you have, because it's always good to reuse your scraps. And right now my plate dried, the white paint dried. So I'm putting a very thin layer of Mod Podge. It's good to put a super thin layer. With the grooves, it made it a little difficult. But put a thin layer, and then, see, I pull it up there. I ripped one of the leaves off. But don't worry. I'll put it back on. I saved it. I want to try to center it, because although I don't use a lot of bows on my stuff, if I do use a bow, it's usually a simple bow. See, I put the leaf right back. It's very delicate when you cut these out. Now, if you had a round sign, these would be perfect for the round sign. And you could put twine or ribbon around the outside if you want. I do put the middle down. I should have probably flattened the middle a little bit better before I did the outside, because it's very important that you Mod Podge around the outside of the wreath, because you have those tiny little leaves that are going to rip or stick up, break off. So it's important that you get those little leaves. I brush all the little leaves. I do underneath and over it. I do let the Mod Podge dry and then go over the whole thing with a layer of Mod Podge, because I want to be able to, when I put this in my kitchen, I could wipe it without tearing the paper. You can put, I only put one layer of Mod Podge on the whole entire plate, even around the outside. You could put more if you want. You could put 2 layers, but I do suggest that you let the Mod Podge dry completely before you put another layer. Like even the first layer to adhere the wreath to the plate should completely dry before you do the top layer of Mod Podge. It's a better finish, it's easier, and you're less likely to rip your paper. Since these calendars, the back page where I made the magnets is a really thick paper, but these calendar pages are very thin, and you don't want to tear them. And if you do wet on wet, sometimes you're going to run into that, and you don't want to do that. So right now I'm Mod Podging the rest of the plate. Now, I did purchase, I use these charger plates on my table and then layer, because layering is always great for different holidays. But I bought a few of these extra chargers because this is a lemon theme. I love the saying, whether it's lemons or not. But I do have, when the springtime comes next year, I am going to decorate. I did purchase some lemon stuff, and I want to make these plates for other seasons, other holidays. So see, this is the bow. It's a messy bow. All that ribbon came from the Dollar Tree. The lemon ribbon, the white, the sage green, even the burlap ribbon is the Dollar Tree ribbon, and I just cut it in half so it was a little thinner, and I just made a little messy bow, and I'm going to glue it to the corner. If I do put bows on my stuff, they're usually pretty simple bows. They're not anything big and elaborate, but I really do love this bow because it just gives it a little bit extra. I love that lemon ribbon, and I'm going to just glue it towards one side, and I'm probably going to do a fall theme one, maybe a Christmas, and you might see these charges for different seasons and different holidays. You don't have to use that wreath for this. This was the one I chose, but there are several wreaths in that calendar, the blessed calendar, that would look perfect on this charger. And sorry, I'm showing you the magnet, but it's out of